So the fading light in Kanpur sees stumps once again called before the designated number of overs could be bowled. The equations are pretty simple. India need 9 wickets, New Zealand need 280 runs, or to bat out day five as the Kanpur test goes into its final day. We look back at day four and that final session of play, which we thought could tell us where this game is headed. India would still take that day, you think? On ESPN Cricket for Match Day, we'll find out with Dan Vittori and Wasim Jaffer. Let's ask Daniel Vittori first up what he made of that last session, which didn't quite get the move on that we were expecting. Dan?
No, it didn't. But I mean, that one wicket would satisfy everything India wanted. I mean, when you see something like that happen, why couldn't they have gone a little bit harder for 30 minutes and given themselves another 6, 7 overs? And if you had New Zealand two down, then that would have made tomorrow's proceedings vastly different. But as it is, India is still well on control, and that lead is quite daunting when it comes to a fifth day camp or wicket. So whilst you could question the last half an hour or hour of that session, India will be satisfied with where they're at.
Wasim, you go with that. They knew that they're not going to get all the overs in, so at best they're going to get 4 or 5 overs today. And they were quite happy to just bat an hour and a half into that final session. You're okay with that?
I think so. Like I said before, 275 on last day is always going to be tough. And I think they knew that, and that is the reason why they probably declared. And they would be happy if New Zealand, goes for runs. That will give them a chance to pick up wickets. I think on these kind of pitches, if somebody just goes and go into a defensive mode, then it might get a little difficult. But I think India knows that New Zealand will only try and bat out for a draw, which will make them have 3, 4 guys around the bat, and it's looking a little bit down for New Zealand from here on.
Yeah, and certainly as a result of that wicket of Will Young. Now, in the DRS era, Dan Vittori, when that sort of wicket happens, do you still find yourself telling the batter or sometimes even the non striker they're more to blame than the umpire who's clearly got that wrong?
Well, yeah, I think there's two factors. I mean, that it's a shocking decision because the ball spun so much, and I think in these situations, when you see the angle of spin like that, then there has to be some benefit of the doubt to the batsman, whether he got outside the line or it's just turning too much. And we saw after the result that it was missed by quite a way. And I suppose for Will Young, early on in his Test career, he's always going to lean on the experience of Tom Latham, and I always believe that the top 4 or 5 batsmen should use the reviews, even if they waste the reviews. They're there for the best batsmen, and I think Will just needed a little tap on the shoulder from Tom Latham a lot quicker than he got to say, "Go for it, let's use it up,"
Yeah.
because it's better to use one now than waste it later on, and it was definitely wasted.
Yeah, I'm very curious as to what conversation is like when two batters come together in that short window, Wazim, where you anyway have, the timers on, you wasted a few seconds just looking at where you must be and the decision given. You've got to decide quickly and just go for it. And now you have 3 reviews with the local umpires still officiating in Test cricket. Surely they should have gone for it.
Yeah, I think, and Dan is pretty correct to be honest. I mean, the top 6 batters have to use the reviews because they are the ones who are going to bat. So really surprised that William didn't go for it himself without asking. For an off spinner to have in that still, it doesn't spin because the ball spun so much. So it was very likely that it is going to miss the stumps. So I mean, the partner also, the non-striker has to be a little proactive, and he needs to give his suggestion very quickly. So really surprised they didn't go for it.
All right. Ridhiman Saha, was him important innings you think personally for him? He is still struggling with full fitness. We saw Bharat come on again and take the gloves, but who knows how much more Ridhiman Saha we'll see at least in the next few years of Test cricket with Rishabh Pant being the number one. But every time he does get the opportunity, he always makes himself, he puts in an effort.
He's one of those guys who plays to his optimum whenever he gets an opportunity. We know how fine a wicket keeper he is, but even with the stiff neck and not being on the field, he came on and did the rescue job. All the 3 guys, Ashwin and Akshar Patel. Yesterday we spoke that India needed that contribution from them to stay in the game, and they all come to the party, and especially Riddhiman Saha. On such a difficult track when he's not 100% fit to play such an important knock was a fine effort.
You think Tim Southey ever imagined after this long summer and break in Asia that he's going to be bowling the most overs in a test match in Kanpur then?
I think he's just grateful he got that third T20 off, so he could rest up and get ready for this huge workload. No, I don't think he would have anticipated that. But like, credit to him. I mean, the fitness that him and Bolt and Wagner have, and now Jameson allows them to continue on. And I was sort of thinking about his career, and if he'd played for England, similar sort of time frame, he would have played 130, 140 tests by now, and he would be up around the 500, 550 test wicket mark, and
Hmm.
we'd be talking about one of the great fast bowlers of all time. So, in a lot of ways, it's sad that he doesn't get to play enough test matches to justify that. But I think this last year to 2 years, you're seeing a fast bowler at his finest and in all conditions. And I think that's the true testament to him, that he is good enough on a Campbell wicket after that many overs to still challenge these great batsmen.
Hmm. All right. Now, I know this is a conversation perhaps better suited for after the test match, but it seems to have created quite the stir on social media now that we've seen India bat twice in this test match. So, Wasim Jaffer knows where I'm going with this. Let's say you're the man to make the decision, Wasim. Virat Kohli returns, who goes out? Simple as that.
It's a toss up between Mayank Agarwal and Ajinkya Rahane. I would be thinking on those two. That is the toss up that Virat Kohli has to make, whether he wants to go with Mayank Agarwal and give him another go, or whether Ajinkya Rahane hasn't got enough runs, in the last 10, 12 test matches after that Melbourne test. So whether he goes out. So it's a tough call, definitely a tough call. So it depends on, who the sword, falls on. So it's a tough one, to be honest.
Fair enough, Wasim. But in that case, if you're opening Mayank Agarwal's spot up, does that mean you're okay with Pujara potentially opening? Because you're not replacing an opener with an opener then.
No, I think I'll open with Saha. If at all Mayank Agarwal goes out, I'll because then everybody bats out of their position. Pujara will open, and then Ajinkya Rahane will bat, some other position. Then Shreyas Iyer obviously will bat at three, and Virat will come at four. So everybody goes out of position. If Saha opens, then I think everyone bats at the same position, and you can do that in Indian conditions with Saha. But is it a long-term call? Definitely not, because India are going to South Africa, so they'll have to reconsider what top six they are going to play in Mumbai.
Dan Vittori got an answer for me. If Kohli comes in, who goes out?
Yeah, I mean, I think most selection panels take the easy decision, and I don't blame them for that. And the easy decision is to leave Mayank out and open with someone like Saha, which I think is fair enough in a stopgap scenario because Rohit will come back, because KL Rahul will be fit again. I think they'll look to those guys when it comes to South Africa. So for a one-off test match, to keep the balance, to keep a feeling of the order that they want, I don't see any issues with that. Whether it's the right call to leave Mayank out and leave Rahane in is debatable, but I just think that it is an easier decision to make, and therefore they'll go with that.
All right. And now let's look ahead to day five. New Zealand would back themselves to bat this day through, Dan, or has this suddenly gotten that much harder when you look at the manner in which Williams' wicket has fallen? Of course, that was unlucky, but are we going to see more demons in day five?
I don't think you can make a prediction around them surviving,
Hmm.
because the things happen so quickly on this wicket. So it is going to be a case of how long can two batsmen stay in, and they may not score runs, and they may just try and survive time. But if they lose a wicket, then it's game on straight away. So two partnerships tomorrow is the key for New Zealand. I think 280 runs is too tough an ask, but can they bat 90 odd overs or less than that with the light? Can they bat 80 to 85 overs? Yeah, I think they can.
Wasim, how do you see day five going from India's point of view? Will wicket taking still be hard, or will this be one of those days where they'll have plenty of time to spare?
I think India will have a lot of players around the bat, because I don't
Hmm.
see New Zealand going for the runs, and that will create opportunities. And on those kind of pitches again, when you get one, you'll get two, three in line. So India will definitely look to attack. I don't see New Zealand going for runs. They look to play time, and that is their best option. I mean, if Williamson plays sometime, and then they look to Taylor and the other guys to play out at least one session, that can create difficult situations for Indians. But Indians will definitely attack, and one or two wickets on that kind of pitch will make inroads for India.
All right, one session at a time. Then on day five, as we do fancy a result, you'd think, and who knows if news. Whenever we've counted New Zealand out, they've fought back quite strongly. So we'll pick up the chat with Dan Vettori and Wasim Jaffer on day five of this India-New Zealand test on ESPN Cricket for Match Day. Story at the end of day four is that India are well in front, and we'll see how this test match, this absorbing test, culminates finally on the final day at Green Park. Join us at lunch tomorrow.